Why precision changed what we fear. Fear once came from the unknown, from shadows, rumors, and vague threats. Then numbers learned to measure danger. To understand how precision reshaped fear, we need to return to a time when risk was felt, not calculated. Danger was judged by experience, stories, and instinct. Threats were imagined broadly because their boundaries were unclear. This mattered because fear was diffuse. It warned without specifying. People prepared generally. Caution was emotional, not targeted. Survival depended on awareness more than accuracy. The imprecision of fear was itself a form of protection because it encouraged a broad vigilance that covered threats the mind could not specifically identify or predict. Then measurement entered risk. Probabilities were assigned. Frequencies were tracked. Hazards were ranked. Fear gained numbers, and numbers gave it shape. Some dangers became small. Others became visible for the first time. At first, this felt calming. Knowing the odds reduced anxiety. Rare risks could be ignored. Events that had once loomed large in the imagination could be dismissed with a number. The probability was too low to justify concern. This was liberating, but it also created a false sense of security around risks that were improbable but catastrophic. Common risks could be managed. Fear became selective instead of constant. The vague, pervasive anxiety that had once accompanied life in an uncertain world was replaced by specific, targeted concerns attached to specific numbers. People knew exactly what to worry about, and they worried accordingly. But something unexpected happened. Precision did not eliminate fear. It redirected it. People stopped fearing the unknown and started fearing what was measurable. Risks without numbers felt unreal. Risks with statistics felt authoritative. The mere existence of precise measurement gave a danger a weight in reality that unmeasured threats, however severe, could not match. Quantification became the standard of seriousness. Over time, attention narrowed. Low probability but vivid dangers dominated concern. High probability but quiet harms faded into background noise. Fear followed data, not impact. The availability of precise measurements redirected attention toward risks that could be quantified, regardless of whether those risks represented the most significant threats to well-being. Dangers that resisted quantification faded from awareness. This was a turning point. Fear stopped responding to mystery. It responded to measurement. And once danger could be quantified, fear began orbiting precision instead of experience. As risk became quantified, fear became comparative. Dangers were ranked, ordered, and prioritized. Attention shifted toward what scored highest, not what felt closest. Precision gave fear a hierarchy. This felt rational. Resources could be allocated. Prevention could be targeted. But precision also narrowed imagination. Threats without clear metrics struggled to compete. Slow harms, diffuse risks, and long-term consequences faded behind sharp probabilities. This mattered because fear guided behavior. When fear follows numbers, behavior follows models. People prepared for what was measured, even when what was measured was incomplete. Safety became a statistical achievement rather than a lived condition. A population could be declared safe by the numbers, while individual members of that population continued to experience fear, vulnerability, and harm that the statistics did not capture. Precision also changed scale. A small risk affecting many felt manageable. A rare risk affecting few felt urgent. Numbers made danger feel objective, but they also distorted proportion. Impact was overshadowed by likelihood. A risk that affected millions at a low probability was treated as less urgent than a risk that affected thousands at a higher one, even when the total expected harm of the first far exceeded that of the second. Over time, fear became technical. People learned to worry about curves, thresholds, and percentages. Emotional signals were dismissed as irrational. Instinct was overruled by data. Even when instinct pointed toward real harm, the authority of numerical precision was so strong that experiential knowledge, the kind of knowledge accumulated through years of direct exposure to risk, was increasingly dismissed as subjective and therefore unreliable. The conflict emerged quietly. People felt safer by the numbers, yet more anxious in life. Fear was better informed, but less grounded. It reacted quickly to statistics and slowly to experience. Precision had not removed fear. It had trained it. And once fear learned to follow measurement, It stopped asking whether those measurements captured what truly mattered. The conflict reached its peak when precision began amplifying fear instead of calming it. Numbers updated constantly. Risk charts refreshed. Alerts multiplied. Danger felt continuous, even when nothing immediate was happening. This is the emotional breaking point. People were told risks were low, yet felt surrounded by warnings. Precision removed ambiguity, but replaced it with relentless awareness. Fear no longer spiked and faded. It hovered. Mathematically, this made sense. Measuring risk more frequently reveals more variation. Small changes appear significant. Rare events feel imminent when tracked closely. Precision increases sensitivity, not safety. What made this exhausting was asymmetry. Safety is quiet. Danger is noisy. Every new data point about risk demanded attention. The absence of harm was invisible. Safety, by its nature, does not produce data points. It does not generate headlines or trigger alerts. The result was an information environment structurally biased toward fear, in which danger was always more visible and more documented than security. Fear accumulated faster than reassurance. This asymmetry is built into the psychology of risk perception. The mind registers threats more readily than safety, and precision amplified this tendency by providing a constant stream of detailed information about what could go wrong. This changed behavior. Caution turned into avoidance. Preparedness turned into anxiety. People optimize against unlikely dangers while ignoring slow, certain ones. The dramatic, countable risks captured attention and resources, while the gradual, diffuse threats that cause far more aggregate harm continue to grow unchecked because they lack the sharp numerical profile that would make them feel urgent. Precision guided fear toward what could be counted, not what caused the most harm. The conflict was no longer about ignorance. It was about overload, about whether knowing more always meant feeling safer. And the answer, quietly, was no. The resolution begins when fear is detached from precision alone. Numbers are useful, but fear evolved to protect life, not to track spreadsheets. When measurement is treated as input rather than command, fear can recalibrate. This changes how risk is communicated. Frequency is paired with impact. Long-term harm is weighted alongside short-term likelihood. Silence is acknowledged as information, not absence of data. The fact that a risk has not been measured does not mean it does not exist. And the recognition of this principle is essential to a healthy relationship between precision and fear. The deeper lesson is perspective. Precision sharpens focus, but focus can narrow too much. Fear needs context, not just numbers. It needs judgment to decide what deserves attention. When fear followed mystery, it was unfocused but flexible. When fear followed precision, it became accurate but relentless. The challenge now is integration. Fear should listen to data, but it should not be ruled by it. Understanding this balance is what allows caution without paralysis and awareness without constant anxiety. The goal is not to return to the era of unmeasured fear, but to ensure that measurement serves human well-being rather than overwhelming it, and that the precision of our tools does not exceed the capacity of our minds to use them wisely. Subscribe to join the journey.